Hello guys. I'm back. Did you miss me? I was working on getting a new PC and the new PC is finally here. So I'm back as well and I want to show you a little build video real quick. We're looking at a Magicka Necromancer. This build is AoE and damage over time focused. Also has a lot of control. I think it's a pretty cool build. So let's take a look at it real quick. 31k Magicka. That is not a whole lot, but it's enough. It's enough, and I will show you why it's so low. It doesn't really matter though with this build. Um, the health, 20k. That's a lot actually, and we're in PvE, so in PvP this goes up to like roughly 26k. Our stamina is sitting at 14k, which is also quite a lot, and it's really important for PvP. Pretty nice. Um, if we buff up here real quick and look at our regen, a little over 2k. That is a lot of regen. I like that. Stamina recovery also pretty nice. Um, our spell damage only sitting at 2.5k. This goes up to like roughly 3k with our weapon damage enchant. Um, of course, as you know, the Necromancer doesn't have a spell damage buff, and I didn't put one on this build. You can do that if you want. You gotta run the spell damage pots or use entropy if you want. This would be an option. I just didn't bother. It isn't really important on this build. If you really want it, put it in there. I don't really need it on this build. Um, Spell critical also not very high. This is not a super high damage build, but it still does a whole lot of damage. You will see why in a second. If we buff up here with our armor buff and look at our armor, 26.5k spell resistance and almost 25k physical resistance. Not bad. We are in light armor, so this is a lot of resistances for a light armor build. We can actually pretty much hit like almost hard cap on this build when we heal. I will tell you why exactly that is, but yeah, we basically have hard cap resistances on this build in light armor. Really good. Critical resistance sitting at 2800, also quite a lot. Our spell penetration is sitting at, I think, 15,000. Yeah, we should have 15k spell penetration. So a lot of penetration. Really nice. Um, we are using the Atronach Mundus because we need the sustain on this build. It's really important. I'm a vampire as always. The extra sustain doesn't hurt, and especially this build uh, becomes really tanky when you get low health. That's pretty nice. We're using the Witchmar's Potent Brew. You can use whatever you want, but I think this is the best food, the best drink buff in the game. Especially for this build, you kind of want the extra magicka, you want the regen. The health isn't really important, but it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt. Yeah, let's take a look at the sets. We are running Winterborn. Ooh, what a nice set. Um, Let me go over all the sets and then I'll tell you why I chose those. The second set is Icy Conjurer, one of the newer sets, and our monster set is Valken Scoria. Um, I will explain to you why that is. We have quite a bit of frost damage on this build, so Winterborn will proc a lot, and it actually hits pretty hard, and it can proc very often. I think every 2 seconds. I think it can proc. Um, this is really nice. It snares enemies, and overall, max magicka recovery, and the spell damage. Those are really nice stats on this set, so I like it a lot. We are running like impan on all the pieces. We have Tristat enchants on the big pieces, Magicka enchants on the small pieces. The second set, like I said, is Icy Conjurer. Also, really good bonuses on this one. The Magicka, the spell damage, and the spell penetration. Ooh, really nice. And of course, When you apply a minor debuff, you add a nasty frost damage dot to your target. And I mean, this is on a 12-second cooldown, quite a lengthy cooldown, but um, the dot goes over 8 seconds, so you basically only have 4 seconds a cooldown on this set. That's really good. I like that. Our jewelry is protective. That's where most of our bulk is coming from. Protective is really strong. This is this is borderline broken. It gives you so much resistances, even in light armor. It's not even funny anymore. And we are running spell damage on the jewelry. We could go for different things here, but I think spell damage, it doesn't hurt. Like I said, we're not stacking a whole lot of damage on this build because our set's doing a lot of work, but um, spell damage, it doesn't hurt, especially for the heals. It's pretty good to have at least a little bit of spell damage. Um, we're using the ice staff on the back bar with a defending trait, so we're going to be really bulky on the back bar, and we get the nice ice staff block using our Magicka, saving our stamina. So this is going to be awesome. You know, blocking with the ice staff, super strong, especially if you have um, so much resistances like this build. We're using the weapon damage enchant on the back bar just to proc a little more damage. On the front bar, we have a lightning staff in Nirnhond, just to get a little more extra damage. Of course, the lightning staff has a nice channel, which is always good if you want to play a damage over time build, because the heavy attack channel is its own dot. It doesn't cost anything. It has a long range, and people can't dodge it. That's really good, and it gives you Magicka back, so it's just super strong, and I like it a lot. Disease damage, just to add a little debuff, little less healing for your opponents. And yeah, the monster set, like I said, Vulcan Scoria, this is like the go-to set for damage over time builds, because when you deal damage over time, you just summon a little meteor that hits pretty hard, and it even does some splash damage. So if that thing lands in a group of enemies, you will hit them all, which is really nice. And 5-second cooldown. That's a pretty decent cooldown. So every 5 seconds you get a nice damage splat. Really nice. It goes super well with all the dots we have on this build. And yeah, that's basically it. Um, like I said, impan on all the pieces. We want to be really bulky on this build, and I think we can really achieve that with impan and the protective traits, our armor buff, and yeah, that's just in light armor having these stats is borderline crazy. Let's take a look at the skills real quick. On our front bar, we have the Stalking Blast Bones. You actually don't have to use these if you don't want to, but why wouldn't you? It's so much damage. Um, so yeah, this is for your burst damage, but like I said, this is a damage over time build. So most of our skills are actually damage over time. But Blast Bones is super strong. If this hits someone that's just standing in your fields, taking a lot of pressure from your dots, this can basically just finish them off. This is like your finishing move. Um, really good. Very strong. The second skill is the Unnerving Boneyard. This is a giant AoE field that does decent amounts of damage. I mean, look at this, 26k over 10 seconds. That's a lot of damage, and it applies Major Breach and Major Fracture, which of course lowers the spell and physical resistance of your target. And if you consume a corpse, so if you put this on a corpse, it deals 20% more damage. Just imagine that, 20% more. So we're looking at a 30k tooltip. That's a lot of damage. And yeah, if you have friends, you play with some friends, they can activate the synergy and do even more damage. So what a great skill this is. It's not even that expensive, a little over 3k for such a strong skill. Of course, it does frost damage, so it procs the Winterborn. It is a damage over time, so it procs the Valkansgoria. The next skill is Shock Reach. This is your single target damage over time and stun. It deals a decent amount of shock damage over 8 seconds. Not very crazy, but we're stacking, so everything helps. Little bit of damage up front, and it stuns your opponent, which is really good. This is one of the strongest stuns in the game. Um, I like this a lot, and yeah, just keep applying this. Of course, you can get the minor vulnerability off of the shock damage, which adds 8% more damage. I mean, it just keeps going. Build gets stronger and stronger and stronger. The next skill is our Skeletal Arcanist. This is our summon, our main summon on this build. It deals a decent amount of damage. This actually doesn't count as damage over time, even though you would think it would be damage over time. This actually counts as single attacks, direct damage attacks, but they hit pretty hard and they can actually really do a lot. And it has a little splash on them, a little splash damage, which is also pretty nice. I like that, and we should keep the Arcanist up at all times because we get our regen buff from this. Really important. The next skill is Ghostly Embrace. This is an important skill because this puts minor maim on our targets, and this is our main source of minor debuff that will proc our Icy Conjurer set. So the way you would do this is you cast the Boneyard, and right after that you cast this thing, and you basically you root your opponent inside the Boneyard. So that means they're standing in the Boneyard. They're taking the frost damage. Then they get hit by the minor maim debuff, which procs your Icy Conjurer set, and they have this frost dot on them. So this is really, really strong. This is the combo. You would do that. You would basically just cast this guy first, then this, then that. And yeah, that alone is a lot of damage. And you have, of course, your shock reach, and you have the heavy attack. This is a nasty combo. So if you can keep someone in your fields, they will take a lot of damage, And our ultimate is Glacial Colossus. You can use whatever you want. I think Necro doesn't really have decent ultimates. They're all pretty expensive. I wish they had a cheaper damage ultimate, but this one is pretty strong. It hits like a truck, and it gives the major vulnerability. And we also have minor vulnerability on this build, so we can just stack damage like crazy. And this is awesome. This is such a strong ultimate. I just wish we had more options, but this is amazing. But feel free to use whatever you want. On the back bar, we have Resistant Flash. This is our main heal. This is a really strong heal. I like this. Look at the damage. Look at the healing. 15k. Jesus, I'm not even fully buffed here. Look at the 10k over and over again. This is amazing. And the nice thing about this skill is, like I hinted at the beginning of the video, if you heal yourself, you actually gain spell and physical resistance equal to half the amount that you heal. So if you're a low health and you pop this thing, and this can hit super hard in PvP. It is a really strong heal. It's almost like a breath of life. You can get a lot of spell and physical resistance for 3 seconds, making you really tanky. I like that a lot. But it puts a minor defile debuff on yourself, which is not really a problem because we have the next skill, which is Expunge and Modify. I went with this morph because I think, the removing 2 effects is great. The other morph removes 4 effects, which is better, of course, but this one gives you a little more sustain, so it just plays into the sustain of this build, and I like the idea of having a little more sustain. So you get like basically 1,000 magicka and stamina back when you use the skill and you have 2 effects on you and you remove them. If you have a lot of effects on you and you pop this over and over again, basically get a lot of magicka and stamina back. I like that. So the way you could use it is you would pop this and then that, this and then that. So this gives you the burst heal, and this cleanses the self debuff. So this is how I like to run that. I heal myself and I cleanse myself. I heal myself and I cleanse myself. Easy. It's I like this combo. It's just it makes so much sense. The next skill we have is Dampen Magic. I went for this morph because we get a little more shield out of it. The other morph would play more into the sustain, but I value the bigger shield a little more. This is like a 6k shield in PvP. Nothing crazy because we don't have a lot of magicka, but it helps. It helps. This is not a shield focused build. It's just meant to help you protect your health a little until the other healing is coming in. And one healing source that takes a while is the next skill, which is Intensive Mender. This is an insane heal. This heals so much. It takes a while. Well, not a while, but you pop it and then it takes like a second or two until you get the first healing tick. So it's always a great idea to either pop this first and then protect your health with the Dampen Magic Shield, or if it's really, really important and you're almost dead, Dampen Magic first, Intensive Mender next. And this thing is it just pumps up your health. It's amazing. So strong. I love it. The next skill is Beckoning Armor. I went for this morph. Usually I like the other morph better, but I think for this playstyle, the Beckoning Armor is better because it can pull people into you, giving you more control, which you already have with the snares, the roots, the stun, and then you have the pull. So you have 4 different CC effects you can put on people. So much control on this build. I think this is indeed, for this playstyle, the better morph. And the ultimate we're using on the back bar is Ice Comet, just for a little more frost damage, a little more damage over time, another snare, but you can use whatever you want. I think this makes sense. It's fairly cheap. Well, fairly cheap. It's cheaper than the other options you have for your class ultimates. So it's pretty nice. I like that. So yeah, let's take a look at the champion points real quick. Nothing crazy here. We have 51 Ironclad, 39 Resistant, 43 in Hardy and Elemental Defender, 51 in Bastion for the shield, of course, and only 43 in Quick Recovery. You can, of course, um, change this up if you want more healing, less shields. Maybe you even want to play this build without a shield. You can do this. In this case, of course, take the points out of Bastion, put them somewhere else. Easy. In the green tree, 37 Warlord, 19 Sprinter, 22 Mooncalf, little stamina recovery, it doesn't hurt. 56 Arcanist, because we really want the Magicka recovery, and 43 in Tenacity. This will give you a little more extra resources on your heavy attacks. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt. Especially since we're doing a lot of shock heavy attacks. This will just do a lot for our sustain. This is really, really strong. 37 Tumbling and 56 Shadow Ward. Of course, we have the Ice Staff on the back bar, so we get the strong block. Reducing the block cost just makes sense. It's just as easy as that. In our damage trees, we have 51 Elfborn, 56 Elemental Expert, and 42 in Spell Erosion. Just stacking the spell penetration on this build. That's why we do so much damage. Mastered Arms only 40, because most of our damage is damage over time based. But of course, we have things like the Colossus and the Blast Bones, which is direct damage. So 16% extra does not hurt. And then of course, 81 Thaumaturge, 24% increase to our dots. Really important because we want to hit hard with our dots. And that's the champion points, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, let me show you real quick how this is meant to be played. Of course, you buff up before you start. Um, then, like I explained earlier, you start with this guy, this, 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 and then you channel your heavy attacks. Look at all the dots, dude. It's amazing. He's hitting us. I cast my Mender. I cast my shield. Getting a lot of healing. You can cast the Blast Bones, of course, if you want. If you feel like it. Keep the Mender up. There goes our Valkan Scoria. Like I said, the Boneyard, the Root. Keep him in your fields. Hit him with all your CCs. Cast the Blast Bones if you need it. Keep your Arcanist up, and then of course hit him with the big splats. It's as easy as that. Keep your buffs up, and just do this rotation over and over again. Do the Boneyard. You put the Root on them to get the debuff. The shock reach for the stun and the extra damage over time. Pretty easy to play, of course. Like I said, Blast Bones if you need, or if you want. You could replace Blast Bones with something else that suits your playstyle a little better. You don't really need the Blast Bones, so don't feel obligated to use the Blast Bones, even though it's like the strongest skill that has ever existed in this game. And yeah, doing the Meteor, really nice. Casting the Mender, casting the Shield, making sure you keep the dots up, keep it going. Look at the damage and just channel your heavy attacks. After you put everything down, just channel the heavy attacks. This is so much pressure and easy. There he goes. Let's take a look at the damage real quick. As you can see, Unnerving Boneyard, it does so much damage. Over 20% of our damage is Unnerving Boneyard. Icy Conjurer, 15% almost. This is amazing. Valkan Scoria, of course, proccing very often. Deathbolt, this is our Arcanist. I'm just hitting him with the shock attacks. Winterborn, only 12 procs, but it hits hard. It's really nice. Yeah, this is a lot of damage. Of course, I have no PvP footage for this build, unfortunately, because we are on the PTS right now, and well, it's the last week of the PTS before the patch goes live, and there's no one in the PTS, so there's no PvP. But you can give this a shot. Play it on the live server. Necro is coming out on Monday, so get ready. Level your Necro, get your sets ready, make your builds, jump into PvP, and have fun. That's it for the build video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you give this a shot. I think it's a really strong build. And yeah, I will be back soon with more builds. Next week, Torx Tuesday, Hybrid Hump Day. Yeah, we're back. We're grinding. We're doing it all. So thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, subscribe to me, of course. Subscribe, like, comment, donate, marry me, do whatever you want. I don't care. So I hope you enjoyed this and have a good one. Bye.